Welcome back. All right, so 11 games tonight in the NHL, and some goals were scored tonight. So definitely the scoring goes back up. I always find this interesting how some nights there's very few goals scored, and some there's tons. And tonight was one of those ones that it felt like just everybody knew how to hit the net. We're going to start things off with Arizona and Florida, and again, Arizona shows they're not an easy out, but they can be taken down. Vejmelka versus Knight in this one, it takes 1 minute and 9 seconds for Florida to open the scoring. It's Tkachuk from Barkov and Forsling. Great pass and a one-timer. So Tkachuk gave him one of those points, because that's what you do. Panthers look for another. The shots are 3-1 in their favor, 5.5 minutes in. The Coyotes press 8 minutes into it. Chychrun has a slot shot, that's held, and then Eric Staal scores from his brother Mark at 11:21. The Coyotes at this point, they press to respond. Keller has a shot saved, more pressure by Arizona. Tkachuk has a net feed, that's picked off. 40 seconds left, the Coyotes get a power play. And with 3 seconds left in the period, they score on it. It's Chychrun from Keller and Schmaltz. So after one period of play, it's 2-1 in favor of Florida. Second period, early press by the Coyotes. The shots are 2-1 in their favor, 2.5 minutes in. And at 5:17, they tie it. It's Keller from Valimaki. So it's 2-2 now. The Panthers press to tie, or Panthers press to answer, looking to get the lead back. Barkov has a rush chance, that's held, and then Tkachuk gets the second of the game from Mahura, buries that one in close on a good press at 10:37, so they get the lead back. Panthers press for another. However, Bjugstad with a tip shot, he ties it up again from Mosier and McBain at 13:59. However, it doesn't stay tied that long as Staal scores, it's Eric Staal, from Lomberg and Tkachuk at 16:01. He buries that one from the slot. So pretty wide open second period, as second periods were tonight. Panthers press for the insurance goal with 1:40 left. They draw a power play, and they score on it. It's Tkachuk. It's his fourth career hat trick. Reinhart and Knight with the assists at 19:29. That's right, the goaltender with the secondary assist. White then has a rush chance that's held before the period's out, but it's 5-3 in favor of Florida going to the third. Panthers were dangerous in transition in this one, which they haven't been for a lot of this season, but it looked like kind of like the old Panthers tonight. There's a press by Florida at 2 minutes. They end up getting a power play. That's killed off. Panthers press again at 6 minutes. The Coyotes get a power play. That's killed off. Boyd at a net feed. That was cleared. The Coyotes pull the goaltender in the final 2 minutes. They're not able to justify, or they can justify pulling the goalie because they're down by 2. They're not able to get any closer in this one. Your final score is 5-3 for Florida. Really important win for Florida to get 17-18-4. If they're going to get back in the hunt, they've got to go on a run here. Arizona 13-18-5 with the loss. The shots in this one, 12-8 Arizona in the first, 20-10 Florida in the second, 14-9 Arizona in the third. Final shots are 37-36 for the Panthers. Power plays, both teams go 1 for 2. Hits were 29-22 for Florida. Vejmelka saves 32 out of 37, and Knight 33 saves on 36 shots, and I think he's the starting goalie right now. I do. I think that Knight's been the better of the two goaltenders, but we'll see who Paul Maurice throws in for the next one. All right, speaking of next one, the next game up, Buffalo in against the Caps. Really, I get nervous because I say, I'm predicting the Sabres are going to make the playoffs, and there's a part of my brain saying, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? And I think part of it is I really want to see them make the playoffs. It's Luukkonen versus Kemper. The Caps press at 2.5 minutes. The Sabres press back 4 minutes in. The hitting's ramping up. The Sabres have the edge in this one early. The shots are 3-2 in their favor, 7.5 minutes in. Really strong start to a road game for Buffalo against a Washington team that's been excellent for a while. Near miss for Bryson as the Sabres are pushing for the lead. Okpozo's denied. Kemper then holds on to the rebound. Protas has a rush chance that's saved, but at 10:48, Alex Tuch puts Buffalo in the lead from Thompson and Skinner. That lead does not last. Milano would score on a rush from Mantha and Irwin at 12:07. Thompson then had a slot shot. That was held. There's a tip-off Lyubushkin that's held. Good reflexes in this one by Luukkonen as it went off Lyubushkin onto his own goaltender. Luukkonen is a really good goaltender. Sabres get a power play and they score on it. It's Thompson from Dahlin and Cousins at 17:29, and he buried that one before Kemper had a chance to react to it. Sabres look for another, but after one period, it's 2-1. Second period, Eller fires one wide. The Caps press, but at 5 minutes and 50 seconds, Thompson gets another. He's heating up again from Tuch and Lyubushkin. So Lyubushkin, I think, is on, a 5-game point streak or something? I think it's Lyubushkin on a point streak. Not a guy you would expect to be on a point streak. So that makes it 3-1. And the shots in this period are actually the opposite. They're 3-1 for the Caps, 7.5 minutes in. So the one shot for Buffalo's gone in. The shots do even up in the second half. Gustafsson would hit the post as the Caps press. Gustafsson, of course, red hot coming into this. But then the Caps win a faceoff, and Ovechkin gets the goal. It's 8:07 from Kuznetsov at 16:46. Gustafsson's then denied a tying goal. 2:11 left. The Caps get a power play. Buffalo does kill that off. So we go to the third period with Buffalo still ahead now by a score of 3-2. In the third, 55 seconds in, Dowd scores from Milano. And that line then pressed again after that. Caps looking for the lead in this one. Sherry's robbed in close. The shots are 8-2, 7 minutes in favor of the Capitals. And at 7:10, it's Ovechkin from Sherry. That's goal 808 for Ovechkin. So he just keeps scoring at a really ridiculous rate. But the Sabres press to answer now that they're down. Peterka has a shot that's held. And then Jost, good press. They score. Mittelstadt and Power with the assists at 11:44. Caps try to answer. 2 minutes left. The Sabres get a power play. 58.9 seconds left. The Sabres call a timeout to discuss things. With 16 seconds left, it becomes a 5-on-3. So 5-on-3, do they score? No. It goes into overtime where it becomes a 4-on-3. Of course, you don't do a 4-on-2. Thompson to Tuck. That was picked off and cleared. Thompson has a shot that deflects out. That power play is killed off. Kuznetsov has a rush chance that's saved, but then at 3 minutes, it's Tage Thompson. He gets the hat trick. I think that's his 30th goal, too, from Tuck. So Buffalo goes into Washington. They get down in the third period, and they rally, and they win it in overtime, even though their power play was not a part of that in the overtime. So your final score is 5-4. It's an overtime victory. The Sabres go to 19-15-2 with the win. For the Caps, they're 21-13-6 with the overtime loss. The shots in this one, 11-8 Buffalo in the first, 11-6 Washington in the second, 11-10 Washington in the third. Both teams had 2 shots in the overtime. Buffalo with the one that matters. Final shots, 32-29 for Washington. Power plays, Buffalo 1 for 3, Washington 0 for 1. The hits, 39-21 Washington. Luukkonen, 28 saves on 32 shots. Kemper saved 24 out of 29. And yeah, this is fantastic for Buffalo. I'm kind of excited at what they might be able to do in the second half of the season. All right, next up, and I know there's Sabres fans watching this thinking he's going to get the rug pulled out from under him. I'm a Canuck fan. I'm used to that. So the Rangers were looking to stop an 11-game winning streak for the Carolina Hurricanes. I'm glad they reached 11 and it didn't stop at 10. So is it over? Yes. Did they play poorly? No, I think the Rangers just came out and played their game the whole way through. One of the best games I've seen the Rangers play. Kochetkov versus Shesterkin in this one. Jarvis in close. He had a shot that's kicked aside. Shots are 3-1 for Carolina at 4 minutes. And eventually, a good press ends up getting them a goal. Burns scores from Stastny and Slavin at 7:24. The Canes were a step faster to all the pucks in the first half of this period. Nason exits. Rangers get themselves a power play. The Canes block, clear on the penalty kill. But late in the power play, Trouba scores from Kakko at 16:26. That one went in off Chaffield's skate. And then Natchez would answer 16 seconds later. Yeah, it didn't take long. Svechnikov and Stastny with the assists on that one. So it's a 2-1 lead. And it was a good forecheck that led to the goal. Basically, I think the Rangers even won that faceoff, and Canes just went in and got it and fired it in. Slavin then defended a Kreider chance, but after one period, it's 2-1 for Carolina. And I was thinking, well, yeah, 12 wins in a row. It's on the way. Then in the second period, Lafreniere is denied early. Canes get a power play. It becomes a minute and 26 seconds of 5-on-3. Or it would have, but Burns takes a penalty so that one from each team goes off. So this is why when there's a delayed penalty and you've got a 5-on-4, don't hold on to the puck. Give it to the other team immediately. Do not risk what happened here happening. Immediately give it to the other team. And I've seen that where there are certain teams in the league that I've seen them. You can hear somebody yelling, give it to them. And that's so they get the extended 5-on-3. Otherwise, you do run the risk of taking a penalty yourself. So Natchez has a screenshot that's saved. Svechnikov had one saved as well. That power play is killed off. Fox was robbed on a rush after that. The shots are 5-3 for the Canes, 8 minutes in. Rangers draw a power play. Trocheck has a pass that's picked off, saves a goal. That's killed off. The Canes press with 8 minutes left. They end up drawing themselves a power play. Kokoniemi fires one high. That's killed off. And then the Rangers get a power play as well. So it was a lot of power plays at this point. And Zibanejad would score at 16:45. So that ties up the game, but it doesn't stay tied for long. You've got to watch those those shifts after a goal is scored. Chatfield gets the second of the year from Teravainen at 17-14. So this case and this case, when the Rangers score, Carolina answers within seconds. Rangers press with a minute and a half left, but after 2 periods, the score is a 3-2 lead for Carolina. So third period, Panarin scores at 36 seconds, and it was through a screen, ties the game. Lindgren and Fox with the assists there. The Rangers then look for the lead. Trocheck couldn't bury one in close, but then Miller does. K'Andre tips one in far corner from Kakko at 10:27, and I also heard the announcers say Condre Miller. I was like, no, it's K'Andre Miller. I made that mistake before he was drafted and was immediately corrected by the entire comment section. Then there's a delay game call that gives the Rangers a power play. It then becomes 16 seconds of 4-on-4. The Canes get the power play after that. All is killed off. 2:45 left. The Rangers get a power play. Not a penalty that was agreed upon by Rod Brind'Amour or the Canes, but it happens. Goalie pull to get it to 5-on-5, and so the Rangers hit the empty net. It's Hedl from Miller and Trouba at 18:57. The Rangers win this one. They go to 21-12-6 with the 5-3 victory. The Canes 25-7-6 with the loss. The shots in this one, 9-6 Carolina in the first, 11-7 Rangers in the second, 14-7 Rangers in the third. The final shots 31-23 in favor of the Rangers. Power plays, Carolina 0 for 3, the Rangers 3 for 5. So there's your difference right there as the special teams. Hits 17-14 Rangers. Kochetkov saves 26 out of 30, and Shesterkin saves 20 out of 23. So overall, Rangers played a really solid game, and they were full value for the win. Next up, last one on this board is Ottawa against Columbus. One of the games tonight that didn't have any tension to it really at all. Korpisalo versus Forsberg in this one. The Sens pressed 2.5 minutes in. There was a post for Brassard. Watson's then denied. Both of them would remember that. Forsberg was solid as Columbus then pressed. The shots are 5-4 in favor of Columbus, 9.5 minutes in. Sens get a power play. Batherson with a net feed, that's picked off. They do kill that off, and then there's some back and forth after that. Sillinger has a rush chance that's saved, and at the horn, there's some punching, because you got to punching at the horn. So second period, the Sens get an early power play, and they score on it. It's Brassard. Nice tip in front of the net from Sanderson and Giroux at 2:59. Columbus then gets a power play. That's killed off. The Sens rush after that, and at 7 minutes, they score. It's Stützle from Giroux. And then to celebrate, the Sens end up going back to the power play pretty shortly thereafter. At 11:31 on the power play, it's Batherson from Stützle and Tkachuk. It's 3-0 for Ottawa, and all I kept thinking was, how many goals could they put up against Columbus? Because once Columbus sags like this, very often it's 6 or 7 goals, it seems, against Columbus. Sens press. Stützle's beast mode at this point in the game, too. Then that press draws them another power play as well. Batherson's denied. The Jackets cleared out. They did kill that off. With 38.6 seconds left, the Jackets get a power play. That rolls over into the third. The Sens finish the kill. They then get a power play. Columbus pressed while they were shorthanded. They end up killing it off. The shots are 4-3 in favor of the Blue Jackets 6.5 minutes in. Nyquist fires one wide. Bernie has a chance that deflects out. Columbus presses with 5.5 minutes left. With 4:04 left, they get a power play. And they pull the goaltender, because why not? And Watson hits the empty net from Hamonic at 16:41. It's an empty netter that's a shorthanded goal. Makes it 4-0. That's your final score. The Sens go above 500. They're 18-17-3. For Columbus, it's another loss. 11-23-2. They don't score very well. They don't keep the puck out of the net very well. Yeah, so the shots in this one, 10-9 Ottawa in the first, 15-4 for Ottawa in the second, 9 apiece in the third. Final shots 34-22 for the Sens. Power plays, Columbus 0 for 3, Ottawa 2 for 6. The hits 32-21 Columbus. Korpisalo saves 30 out of 33. Forsberg saves all 22 shots for what's only his second career shutout. So good on Forsberg for getting the shutout, and now I need to change boards. All right, now we get to the game with all the goals in it. St. Louis and Toronto. So it's Binnington versus Samsonov. Samsonov's home winning streak comes to an abrupt halt tonight. And just this game had some sloppiness to it, but that usually makes games more fun, doesn't it? So early camp shot deflects out. Leddy has a blast saved as the Blues press. In fact, 3 minutes in, the shots are 5-1 in favor of St. Louis. The Leafs get a power play. That leads to a shorthanded goal. Brendan Saad from Achari at 4:52. Riley has a shot that deflects wide. The Blues finish the kill. They only surrendered one shot during that power play. And, of course, they had the shot that goes in the net. Leafs go back to the power play. Another strong penalty kill by the Blues. Yarncroke fires one wide. Power play's killed off. No shots for Toronto on that one. Then the Blues get a power play, and they score on it. It's Shen from Kyrou and Thomas at 13:01. The Leafs try to answer. They press with 3 minutes and 30 seconds left, and eventually they get a goal. They get on the board. It's Engvall from Kerfoot and Kampf at 17:28. Bunting was then denied on a turnover before the period came to an end, but the score after one's 2-1 in favor of St. Louis. And then the second period. The long change can really cause this kind of a period to happen. Early press by the Leafs. Shen has a rush chance that's saved. The Blues would get a power play, and they score on it. It's Kyrou from Shen and Thomas at 3:08. So that makes it 3-1. But the Leafs would answer. Nylander from Bunting and Matthews at 4:38. And then St. Louis would restore the 2-goal lead. It's Levo from Neighbors and Achari at 10:28. So, again, it's a back and forth thing. And then 17 seconds later, Bunting scores. He scores from Brody, so yeah, it's on. And at 11:45, so a minute after that, it's Saad from Shen and Parayko. We've got, 3 goals in a minute and 17 seconds? That's a lot. The Leafs press with 7 minutes left. Eventually, Matthews scores. So Matthews gets his 500th point here. He gets his 501st here on that goal. Nylander and Liljegren with the assists at 14:37, and he wired that one top corner. So it wasn't a fluky goal. It was a nice goal there. And so we're going to the third period with Toronto down by 1. And a lot of goals in that second period. Third period, no shots at all, 4 minutes in. The third period was kind of the opposite of the second period. Blues press at 5.5 minutes. The Leafs block. The Leafs end up getting a power play, and they score on it. It's Bunting again from Nylander and Marner at 7:55. So the Bunting only scoring on the road thing is gone. He's scoring very well at home now. The Leafs press for the lead, and they press again with 6.5 minutes left, but I knew we were going overtime. I just had that feeling, and so we go into overtime now. The Leafs control early. Marner holds. The Leafs get a change in. Tavares was denied in close. The Blues control it with a minute and a half left. Leddy has a net drive that's saved, but we're going to a shootout. In the shootout, it is Braden Shen that gets the winner. So your final score is 6-5 in a shootout for St. Louis. They'll take it. They're 18-17-3 with that. Toronto drops to 23-8-7 with the shootout loss. The shots in this one, 10-8 St. Louis in the first, 13-9 St. Louis in the second, 7-4 Toronto in the third. In the overtime, 5-1 St. Louis. Final shots, 32-25 for the Blues. The Blues go 2 for 2 on the power play. Toronto 1 for 3 on theirs. The hits, 52-19 for St. Louis. Binnington saves 20 out of 25. Samsonov saves 27 out of 32. And overall, really entertaining game. I would imagine for Leafs fans, they would have liked a different result, but it was an entertaining game. All right, Calgary and Winnipeg had a very different game, even though the shots were almost the same, but there were a few extra shots in this one. But it was Markstrom versus Hellebuck. Pretty premier matchup in net. Good early jump for the Flames. The Jets would get a power play. That's killed off. 6 minutes in, the shots are 5-4 for Winnipeg. Anderson has a rush chance. That's saved. Mangiapane has a shot that was held. Dubois with a rush chance. That's saved. Both teams with some turnovers at this point in the period, so that makes for some entertaining hockey that's causing coaches to get some more gray hair. Zadorov with the backhand, shoulder saved there by Hellebuck. 2:50 left, the Flames get a power play. That was killed off. And then to close out the period, the Flames with some pressure. So they outshot Winnipeg, they outchanced Winnipeg in the first, but it's scoreless after one. Second period, good back and forth to start. The Jets get a power play. Morrissey with a near miss, the Flames cleared it out. Scheifele on that next zone entry is denied, and that's killed off. The Jets go back to the power play. That leads to a shorthanded chance for Backlund that's saved on a 2-on-1. They killed that one off as well. The shots are 5-4 for the Jets with 7.5 minutes left. Remembering they've had 2 power plays, that's not bad if you're a Flames fan at that point. Huge saves by both goalies as well in this period, despite there only being 9 shots. Dubé had a rush chance that was defended, and then Dillon gets his first goal of the season to open things up from DeMello and Scheifele at 14:50. The Flames get a power play. That's killed off. And then with a minute left in the period, Zadorov gets a goal from Toffoli and Lindholm. And then in that final minute, after that tying goal goes in, the Jets with some pressure. I liked how the Jets answered after allowing a goal tonight. So we're going to the third. Weegar and Dubois were unfriendly, which makes some sense. They're on opposite teams. And then we get 2 minutes of 4-on-4 as a result. I think Dubois was getting under their skin all night, and it was just Weegar decided, I've had enough. Dubois did knock his helmet off too, so that'll do it. Connor has a net feed that won't go. The Flames not giving the Jets any room. The shots are only one apiece, 7.5 minutes in, because you've got Sutter on one side and Bonus on the other. So it just felt like it was a Sutter and Bonus matchup here. Zadorov nearly adds another, but then it's Morrissey. He wires it from the slot. Now he's got some filthy goals here. Connor and Dubois with the assists at 10:22. But to Calgary's credit, they answer. Backlund from Mangiapane on a fast break at 11:58. So really good answer from Calgary there. The Jets, though, they try to answer after that. Backlund has a shot that's held, but then good cycle by Winnipeg, and it sets it up, and Gagner tips one in from Heinola and Sandberg at 14:20. So nice to see Ville Heinola with his first point of the season, and that puts the Jets back in the lead. Things then get pushy on a Markstrom hold as the Flames are protecting their goaltender. Strong board play by Barron with 3.5 minutes left. Really, really strong play by him. Jets get a power play. That's killed off, but it's taken 2 minutes off the clock. They weren't trying to score during that power play either, just not allow that shorthanded marker. The goalie gets pulled with 45 seconds left. Late power play will cause that. Huberdeau had a rush chance. That was held with 15 seconds left. And the Jets win this one 3-2. They go to 24-13-1 with the win. The Flames 18-14-7 with the loss. The shots in this one, 14-10 Calgary in the first, 11-6 Calgary in the second, 10-9 Calgary in the third. Final shots 35-25 for the Flames. Power plays Calgary 0-2, Winnipeg 0-4. Hits 20-17 for Calgary. Markstrom saves 22 out of 25. Hellebuck saved 33 out of 35 at the other end. Hellebuck, turns out he's a pretty good goaltender. Who knew? All right, next up, Montreal in against Nashville. So Montreal's free fall, it continues. This is getting into the ugly territory now. Montembeault versus Saros. The shots are 3-2 for the Preds at 2.5 minutes. Nashville gets a power play and they score on it. It's Glass from Ekholm and Niederreiter at 4 minutes and 10 seconds. They did review this goal to make sure it was a good one, and it's a good one. It counts. Caulfield then had a rush chance that was saved, but at 5:49, Sissons makes it 2-0 from Forsberg. The Habs press for a response. Caulfield's denied on a rush, but that draws them a power play. That becomes 1 minute and 5 seconds of 4-on-4. And at 10:42, Ekholm scores from Granlund and Niederreiter. It was a nice tip shot in front by Ekholm. And there you go. Nashville up 3-0. Things get punchy after a hold by Montembeault. That leads to 2 minutes of 4-on-4. At 19 minutes and 10 seconds, Cole Caulfield continues his remarkable scoring pace. He gets one and makes it 3-1 after one. Second period, the shots are 2-0 for Nashville, 3.5 minutes in, so they're starting off where they ended it with the advantage. Post for Niederreiter on a rush, but then at 6 minutes and 40 seconds, Josh Anderson gets the Habs within a goal from Drouin Richard. So there's Richard on the board. But at 8:18, Novak restores the 2-goal lead from Trenin and Jeannot. Jeannot had some opportunities tonight. He's still stuck on 3 goals. I don't know what's going on with him. But at any rate, the Habs get a power play. That's killed off. And then at 17:48, Yossi really puts this one out of reach. Scores from Novak and Niederreiter. So Niederreiter with some assists tonight. 1:26 left. The Habs go back to the power play. Caulfield's denied. The next chance he had was held. And then there was a shorthanded rush by Granlund as the clock's running out. And that was saved as well. So we're going to the third period. Early on, there's a 5-on-3 for the Habs. But that's all killed off, and they don't even allow a shot. So Nashville's penalty kill is there. Jeannot then couldn't bury one on a net drive. He looked kind of ticked off with himself as he left the ice there. Preds get a power play. Yossi fires one wide. They cycle. Becomes a 5-on-3. They do score during the 5-on-3. It's Duchesne from Yossi and Granlund at 4:43. Montreal would kill off the 5-on-4 after that. The shots, though, halfway through are 5-1 for Nashville. And the other notable entry on the board is Gallagher, making the score a little bit more respectable from Hoffman and Dvorak at 16:59. But it was all done at that point. The final score is 6-3 for Nashville. They go to 16-14-6 with the win. Montreal drops to 15-20-3 with the loss. The shots in this one, 15 apiece in the first, 10-8 Nashville in the second, 9-4 Nashville in the third. The final shots, 34-27 for the Preds. Power plays, Montreal 0-4, Nashville 2-4. The hits, 30-18 for Nashville. Montembeault saves 28 out of 34. Saros saved 24 out of 27. So, yeah, Nashville goes out and gets it done. Montreal's not doing a very good job of playing spoiler at this stage, but I really think it's just that the sky's kind of dropped out for them. So this is what we're going to be looking at probably from here on. All right, next up, Tampa Bay and Chicago. Tampa Bay had a pretty poor first period in this one, and I thought, maybe they're going to blow it. But nope, they didn't. So, Elliott versus Stalock in this one. The early jump was for the Hawks. They end up getting a power play as a result, and Seth Jones scores. He scores from Radish and Domi at 4:50. Athanasiou had a rush chance. That wouldn't go. Hawks get another power play. That leads to a shorthanded rush by Paul. That's followed up by a shorthanded rush by Hedman. Caleb Jones was shot blocking. That's all killed off. So, Jones shot blocking shorthanded. Or during a power play, I should say. Hawks press at the half. The Bolts were really flat at this point. Even though they did well on the penalty kill, 5-on-5, they were flat. The shots are 8-2 for the Hawks with 9 minutes left. But at 11:24, Tampa gets on the board. It's Maroon from Hedman, and he tips that one in. It's only the third shot of the game for Tampa Bay, but they're on the board. Hagel then fires one wide as the Bolts press, looking for the lead. The Bolts press again with 5 minutes left. There's a delay game call that gives the Hawks the power play. Tampa Bay kills that off. 1:44 left. The Bolts get a power play, so that rolls over into the second period, where the score is now just 1-1. And that penalty is finished with the Hawks killing the rest off. The shots are 5-2 for Tampa Bay at 6.5 minutes, as Tampa Bay is starting to roll now. Pressed by the Bolts, the Hawks, though, doing a good job of blocking them to the outside and doing the shot blocking as well. Belmar's then denied on a rush. Cole takes his third penalty of the game, so the Hawks get a power play. You can't take 3 penalties in the same game. You can't. That's Tyler Myers territory right there. So, 104, a 4-on-4 takes place, and then the Bolts get a power play. So the Hawks bail them out there. Athanasiou has a rush chance, that saved. The Bolts couldn't set up on the short power play they had. So again, the Hawks being really good, get really good hosts, they make sure that with 3:24 left, the Bolts get a full power play. Colton has a blast that's held, that is killed off, and Stalock is the only reason this game is tied after 2 periods. Stalock had a very good game. Third period, the Bolts press at 2 minutes. We get a good back and forth after that. Maroon has a sharp angle shot held. Kane, at this point, it was announced, was out, wouldn't return. They didn't see what had happened, and what's been reported since the game ended is it's not much of anything, but they wanted to make sure that because, they're trying to trade him, that any kind of a bump or bruise he's going to get at this point, he's going to get taken out of a game. They don't want to go through what St. Louis is going to be going through with the loss of O'Reilly and Tarasenko, who are 2 huge trade pieces for them. So, Colton's robbed. Stalock really the star at this point. The shots are 4-2 for Tampa at 6.5 minutes, but eventually they break through. Killorn buries one in close from Hagel at 7:10. Then Tampa Bay gets a power play, and they score on it. It's Hagel from point and Stamkos at 10:14. So Hagel against his former teammates, a goal and an assist in about 3 minutes of action. Now, and again, he buries it in close. No chance for Stalock in either of those. Stalock was then decked, but it becomes 2 minutes of 4-on-4 because of the response to seeing their goaltender getting decked. I am perfectly fine with the team defending their goaltender. Who, in that situation, there was some debate about whether or not the goalie was running interference in that situation. But usually if there's a collision behind the net, you're going to get that goalie interference penalty, right or wrong. Stalock, after that, did stay in the game, and he was okay. 2:08 left. The Hawks call a timeout. They pull the goaltender as well to make it a 6-on-4. And because they were getting a power play, and that allows the empty netter to be hit by Paul. It's also a shorthanded goal. Belmar with the assist at 18:54. So Tampa Bay goes into Chicago. They start slow, but they win. 4-1. They go to 24-11-1 with the win. Chicago's 8-25-4 with the loss. The shots in this one, 12-6 Chicago in the first, and then it's 13-6 Tampa in the second, 10-8 Tampa in the third. Final shots, 29-26 for the Bolts. Power plays, Tampa Bay 1 for 4, Chicago 1 for 5. The hits, 18-11 for Chicago. Elliott saved 25 out of 26. Stalock saves 25 out of 28. And now for Tampa, they get to go to Minnesota tomorrow. That being said, I get to go to a new board right now. All right, so final 3 games of the night. We're starting off with Seattle and Edmonton. This one looked like Edmonton could run away with it, and then no. So it was Jones versus Skinner in this one. The shots are 1 apiece at 3 minutes. Kraken throwing hits early. That did kind of keep up, too. We ended up with 69 hits in this game, so more than 1 a minute. Donato has a net feed that's cleared. Burakovsky has a screenshot that's saved. Seattle has momentum at the half. They press again with 9 minutes left, but the Oilers get a power play and they score on it. It's Ryan Nugent-Hopkins from Draisaitl and Hyman at 12:47. It was a good cycle. It's buried, and after the first period, it's 1-0 for Edmonton. Second period, early on, in a rush. Basically, Janmark just kind of tosses it to McDavid. McDavid does all the work by himself. McDavid scores at 48 seconds. Janmark and Kulak with the assists. Draisaitl then defends a Beniers chance. But the Kraken end up getting a power play, and they score on theirs. It's Beniers from Sprong and Schultz at 4:44. He tips that one out of midair. I think they looked at it to make sure it wasn't above the bar. Wasn't above the bar. So it was a nice goal, and that makes it 2-1. But then at 5:15... Seattle ties it. It's Jaden Schwartz from Beniers and Larson. So Beniers has been having a hard time getting points lately. Today he gets a goal and an assist, so that's good for him. The Oilers call a timeout. Jay Woodcroft not happy with the effort he's seeing, with the defense he's seeing at this point. And the Oilers really got outplayed throughout most of this period. Seattle presses at 6.5 minutes. The shots are 3 apiece at 9 minutes. McCann then had a rush chance that's held. And at 12:42, Yanni Gourde, another one that's been cold lately, scores from Tolvanen and Schultz. The Kraken press for another, and they get it. It's McCann in this case from Wenberg and Schwartz at 15:48. The Kraken's press for more. They're really controlling this game, and after 2 periods, it's 4-2. Clearly, Seattle remembered what happened to them in the last game. Maybe they watched the preview and saw that no mercy magnet and said, we're done with that. So third period, early press for the Oilers. Draisaitl scores, but it's challenged for offside. Sure enough, it's offside. So they were, and it was funny because watching the Sportsnet announcers, they were really wanting to, and it was DeBrusk that was like, I think they're challenging for offside. And once you hear it's challenged for offside, and I saw Hackstall's lips saying offside, I was like, yeah, it's offside. And it was. Seattle then finishes the kill. That's the important thing. You don't just take the goal off the board. You then have to finish the kill. Edmonton's absolutely capable of scoring twice on the same power play. Oilers press at 5 minutes. Kraken get a power play, and it's a 4-minute power play, but the Oilers did kill it off, to their credit. Dunn fires one wide. Schwartz has a shot that's blocked. Things get punchy after a hold by Campbell, who had come in at this point in relief of Skinner. Barry prevents a goal that would have made it 5-2. The goalie gets pulled with 4 minutes left. Things get pushy after a hold by Jones. And then at 17:29, Wenberg hits the open net from Tanev and Schwartz, so that empty netter makes it 5-2, and Wenberg's one that's been on a cold streak. So a lot of guys you wanted to see get goals if you're a Kraken fan, got them. 1:36 left, the Oilers get a power play. Ultimately, they're not able to score anything out of that. Your final score is 5-2. Big win for Seattle. They go to 20-12-4 with the win. With the loss, the Oilers dropped frustratingly to 20-17-2. They'd gotten to 5 games above 500. Now they're back to 3 games above 500. Shots in this one, 14-9 Edmonton in the first, 11-4 Seattle in the second, 15-4 Edmonton in the third. Final shots, 33-24 for the Oilers. Power plays, both teams 1 for 3. The hits, 38-31 for Seattle. Jones saves 31 out of 33. That'll help his save percentage. Skinner saves 16 out of 20, which will not help his. But Campbell saved all 3 shots in relief. So, yeah, we'll see how things turn out for Edmonton going forward. But this has to be frustrating for Jay Woodcroft. They had the 2-0 lead. It looked like this was their game, and then Seattle just took it. And once Seattle took over, although they had 15 shots in the third, I don't know how many of those were really all that dangerous. I never really got the impression. Once that Draisaitl goal came off the board, I never really got the impression they were going to come back and win it. So, but you guys can let me know your thoughts. All right, next up. The Islanders and the Canucks. You know, it's funny. Yesterday I got an ad from the Canucks about, buy tickets. And I thought, well, I didn't look at the tickets. I'm like, these are pretty cheap tickets, right? Pretty cheap tickets. So we've reached that point in the Vancouver market where the tickets are getting kind of easy to come across. And these are lower bowl for good prices. So Sorokin versus Martin, as you can tell, I didn't go to the game. And my honest thought was, I don't know that I'd want to do an 11-game recap after watching them lose. So Pettersson throws an early hit because I'm not home until 12:30 at night, and then it takes forever to get the board set up, and it's just awful. The Canucks press at 2 minutes, and the shots are 2-0 in their favor at 4 minutes. They had a good first period, which always makes me nervous because I know there's 2 more periods. Shen has a tip shot that saved. Aho was denied as the Islanders get their first press of the game, really their first opportunities. Bear has a shot that's held. Strong first half for the Canucks. I felt like I had to put that up there. The Islanders blocking as the Canucks press. The Canucks get a power play. That's killed off. But at 18:23, before the period's out, Horvat puts the Canucks into the lead from Ekman, Larson, and Besser. He tips that one in because it's what Horvat does. And the Canucks 9-5-2 when they score first. It's above 500, but it's not one of the stronger numbers in the league. So second period, it takes 2 minutes and 26 seconds, and Ratu answers from Johnston and Martin. So the shots 5 minutes into the second period are 2-1 in favor of the New York Islanders. Miller has a rush chance. That's kicked aside. The Islanders get a power play as Miller goes to the box. That was killed off. Miller then had a chance out of the box. That was held. The Islanders go back to the power play, and since it's the second power play, and with the penalty kill being as bad as it is, the Islanders had to score. Pajot gets a goal from Pulock and Barzal at 12:56. I always get a kick out of when a team's playing Vancouver and you hear, well, this team's power play isn't doing very well. Well, you're in luck because you're playing the Canucks. So it was a rebound that gets buried by Pajot. No chance for Martin on that one. It makes it a 2-1 game. The Canucks press with 5.5 minutes left. Bear has a chance that's held. Lee misses one after Spencer Martin had mishandled it around the net. But then Barzal, it's a turnover, it's in the net. Posting in for Barzal at 16:28. His family's in attendance. They were delighted. 1:31 left. The Canucks get a power play, and they score on it. It is Horvat from Miller and Hughes at 18:54. So that makes it a 3-2 game. But the Islanders press for an answer after that. So we're going to the third. It's a 1-goal game. Not for long. On a turnover and then a spin shot, Lee gets the goal from Nelson at 1:46. So turnovers are a problem for the Canucks again tonight. Don't act surprised. And yeah, Lee wired it there. Dermott then has a shot that's saved as the Canucks press. Dermott might have had his best game as a Canuck since coming back from injury, but yeah. Anyways, pressed by the Islanders at 4 minutes. The shots are only 2-1 in favor of New York at 9 minutes. Somewhere Barry Trotz watching this would have been very proud. Cizikas then scores from Barzal and Wotherspoon at 9:44. So Wotherspoon gets his first NHL point with his family in attendance. It's nice of the Canucks to make sure that the Islanders' families in attendance have a really good time. So that one, that's wired top corner on a rush. Again, I don't know if I'd put that on Martin. I don't know. The Islanders press with 5 minutes left. With 3:40 left, the Canucks get a power play. They pull the goaltender because why not? I saw a comment online about why'd they pull the goalie? Because you're down by 3, you might as well. And that leads to an empty net shorthanded goal by Pajot. That's 8 shorthanded goals against the Canucks this year. Cizikas with the assist at 17:51, and your final score is 6-2 for the Islanders. They go to 22-15-2 with the win. The Canucks drop to 16-18-3 with the loss. I even heard between periods the argument about whether or not the Canucks would end up being a bottom 5 or 6 team because they're probably too good for that. And I said out loud at the TV, "Are you sure? Are you sure about that?" So the shots in this one, 12-10 Vancouver the first, 14-8. Never underestimate their ability to drop. 14-8 in the second in favor of the Islanders. 6-4 Vancouver in the third as the Islanders just shut it down. Final shots were 28-26 for the Islanders. Power plays, the Islanders 1 for 2. Vancouver 1 for 3. The hits 30-22 for the Islanders. Sorokin saves 24-26, and Martin 22 saves on 27 shots. I'm pretty sure that's the third game in the last 4 or 5 that Martin saved 22 out of 27. I'm not trying to throw shade at Martin. It's just the numbers are all against the Canucks at this point. So another tough game, but I mean the Islanders get a win, right? They come off that loss against Seattle, and they come back with the win against Vancouver. All right, next up, Dallas in against LA. The LA Kings tonight might have played the best game they've played all season. This was a full 60 minutes as far as I'm concerned. This is the kind of game I've been looking for from the Kings. So it was Ottinger versus Copley. The shots were 5-3 for Dallas at 3 minutes. Edler defends a Kiviranta rush. Copley was sharp. The rebounds were coming out, sure, but they were being cleared away. So his defense, aware he gives up rebounds and clearing them away from the net. And then Kupari on a rush. He just wires it. Filthy goal from Fiala at 7:58. Stars then get a power play. Heiskanen has a shot that's blocked and cleared out. That's killed off. Then the Kings get a turn. Dallas killed that off as well. Roy's denied as the Kings press. There's a last-minute press back by Dallas, but after one period, it's 1-0 for LA. Second period, good early back and forth in that period. The Kings get a power play. The Stars prevent any kind of a setup until late. They kill that off. Power play then for Dallas follows. There's a near miss for Marchment. That was killed off too. And then Heiskanen scores from Hintz at 6:31. So Heiskanen continues his point streak. I think it's at 4. And then Kopitar answers to put the Kings back in the lead from Doughty and Byfield at 8:13. So there's Quentin Byfield on the board. But less than a minute later, Dallas answers, and it's Robertson from Pavelski and Hintz at 9:09. So suddenly it's 2-2, and it looks like this game might have crazy scoring, a la the Toronto-St. Louis game. Stars look for the lead. There's a press by Dallas with 8 minutes left. Kopitar has a near miss from the side of the net. Delandria has a shot kicked aside. Grundstrom's denied as the Kings press, but after 2 periods, it's a 2-2 game. Third period, the Stars press 3 minutes in, but the shots are 5-2 for LA at 5 minutes. Iafallo has a near miss in close. Suter blocks a Kupari net feed. The Kings press, that draws them a power play. Iafallo can't bury one, they cycle it, and they eventually score. It's Kempe from Fiala and Velarde at 9:25, and he roofed it from in close, so no chance for Ottinger there. Stars get a power play, that's killed off. Strong forecheck by the Kings as the clock's ticking down. The Stars would pull the goaltender with 1:50 left. Good forecheck by the Kings prevented them from getting him out until 1:50 left. Heiskanen blasts one wide, the Kings clear it, and they hold on, they win it. They win this one 3-2. They go to 22-13-6 on the season. The Stars 23-10-6 with the loss. The shots in this one 15-10 Dallas in the first, 12-10 LA in the second, and 13-5 LA in the third. That's why I'm saying I think this might be the best game LA's played all year. Dallas gets better as the game goes along. LA didn't allow it tonight. Final shots 35-30 for the Kings. Power plays Dallas 0 for 3, LA 1 for 3. The hits 38-29 for Dallas. Ottinger saves 32 out of 35, and Copley saves 28 out of 30. So there you go. Copley had a really good night. Kings had a good night. And I hope you had a good night too. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.